Yes, you read that right. Modern women are now outraged as more and more men are checking out abroad to find traditional women and partners they can spend their lives with. Men go abroad to find love in Eastern countries so they can spend their lives with women who are actually feminine and have values that are respectable. But why are Western and American women upset about it? They don't give two hoots about guys in the West. Is it because American women are increasingly looking for the stereotypical bad boys to fill the gaps left by American men? Is interracial adult entertainment a real trend for white women or merely an imagined fantasy? Also, are men or women duped by the direction that explicit content points? My argument is that American men appear to prefer meek, submissive, and loving women. American women, on the other hand, if my estimate is true, are now drawn towards more dominating alpha males. It's always interesting to expose a woman to her reality, since they never want to face or confess it by themselves. Why would a woman be angry and outraged at this? I guess it really comes down to the fact that the ideology of the modern woman ideally works for them from the time when they're in their teens to the mid-20s at the most, especially in terms of financial success. If they're ambitious and want a career without wanting to settle down with a man or have a family, then this ideology works for them perfectly. But if they want to start a family, then this ideology goes against the way they want to spend the rest of their lives. And that's where the problems start. They realize they can't have everything. And that's when they start blaming men for everything that goes wrong with their lives. So when things aren't going exactly how women want them to go, in terms of career, relationships, and life overall, they'd want the equation to solve itself magically. Women aren't programmed to see themselves live through old age alone. This is why they want to have someone by their side as a financial cushion so they can live their lives in peace and not have to live in a nursery home. Ironically, most modern women say they don't need a man and yet depend on them for so much throughout their adult lives. Men come in the form of boyfriends, lovers, and sugar daddies. This is the reality today. Plain and simple. Men are just tired of the modern woman who makes it next to impossible for them to go out on a nice date. Their unbelievable standards are making men look the other way and in other directions. To put the icing on the cake, if a guy does commit to a woman, there are all the chances that he's going to receive the minimum effort from her. A sorry state of affairs in the bedroom, constant complaining, lack of respect, and divorce. For what? He has his life savings and children taken away as a final nail in the coffin. This is what's causing men to go abroad and search for other women, which I don't completely believe in but can completely understand. I have seen firsthand how some women use men for their passports and even date guys from first world countries just to enjoy the money which they take back home. It really is a strange and cold world that we're living in. Guys, what you need to understand is that most women are just doing whatever they can to ensure the money keeps coming in. If you think dating abroad is something that will find you a different kind of woman, think again. I've seen my fair share of real-life examples where women have conned men abroad. And I believe it's time to actually hear from guys who've moved abroad to find wives they can commit to. Over the last 50 years, we've seen a major shift in the way gender roles have been perceived, and very few people truly understand what each gender is naturally supposed to play for a meaningful, balanced life. With so many people confused about what they're supposed to do, ideologies such as those of the modern woman are bound to cause chaos in the natural order of how life was meant to be lived peacefully. So why do Western women travel to Asia, the Caribbean, South America, and Africa for intimacy tourism and to find partners? Also, how does this apply to men who travel to Asia to find women? I believe it boils down to the reality that males are progressively becoming feminized in the West, while women are being masculinized. Because opposites attract, if you're a feminine Western woman or a masculine Western man, your chances of finding a partner have significantly gone down. Also, I think it's simple to understand why American women go to Africa to find male partners. Although it's more of a stereotype, black men seem to be more muscular than the average American men. We also have to factor in the adult film business that has created this perception that all black men are extra large down there. Even though research has suggested that the difference between the male intimate body parts of American and African men are not that different, adult movies have created this perception that black men are significantly bigger, creating the assumption that all black males have the largest male body part. This is one of the reasons American women frequent Africa in search of partners who can fulfill their physical fantasies. Is this racism? I don't think so. It's just a perception that has been created, and this actually shows black men as naturally more dominating, and hence more physically attractive to Western women who don't get that level of muscle in America. It also works fairly well for Western women because even though they might have partners back in their home countries, they can still partake in physical tourism in Africa, spend their money which doubles or triples in Africa because of exchange rates, have their fun, and then go back home to their Western white male partners. This allows them to keep their social circles separate from the fetishes for which they travel around the world. This also makes it harder for them to get caught by their partners back home. There's no doubt that when men and women from around the world find Western partners and move to Western countries benefit economically. After making the move, they're immediately surrounded by more opportunities, better quality food, a better environment, and usually lesser crime levels. They also start to earn more than they would back in their home countries. I have known many examples of people who partnered with people just because they could migrate to better countries. I know of obese white women marrying an African male who could then stay in America. They're both getting some benefits. The obese woman gets to have intense physical experiences with the black man that she otherwise would never have experienced. The black man gets to live in America and have a chance at prosperity, better opportunities, and a chance to bring his whole extended family out of poverty. However, there's always a downside to this as well. The men and women from Western countries who choose to find foreign partners and bring them back home are usually shunned by their social circles. They risk losing their chances at having partners of their own backgrounds and end up with people with different ways of thinking. Western women now want more dominating men since Western men have been cultured by the womanist movement and hence have become more feminized. They want power and control of their men's lives, but still want the man to look more masculine. It's also about personal choices. Dominant women can also go to other countries to find more submissive men and end up only finding more masculine ones. In that case, they don't really get to be with any men at all. Because for men, financial success isn't as important as their personal respect and need for authority. The gender marketplace is also variable in this regard. For example, an average-looking Western moving who goes to a country like Japan will not get the expected attention from the men. Because for the men, the above-average Japanese woman will still be more attractive. However, an average-looking Western man who goes to Japan will find the best-looking Japanese woman to want them. The reason for this is the perception of gender and power in both countries. For Japanese women, the American man means a new life and a new world where they can happily be submissive and enjoy prosperity. For the Japanese man, an American woman who is dominant is not enticing enough. The man might enjoy physical intimacy, but he won't become submissive to her and go against his male nature. What's clear to me is that Western society is lost and confused. The family unit has been destroyed because there's no concept of a family left anymore. I mean, Canada has a divorce rate of around 60%. I don't blame the men and women for this. I blame our society and the lack of a family culture. For what it's worth, women in the West need to do something and reflect on why more and more men are leaving for more traditional societies and women in the East, instead of raging and fuming at them, like the woman in the clip at the beginning of the video. Women need to realize that men will travel the world and find someone they like. So if they keep on disrespecting men and taking them for granted, it's only going to make more of them leave. A successful Western woman in her mid-30s might have more value in her country than in another. An average-looking woman in her early 20s will have a much higher value in a country like Africa or the Middle East than in her own country where she's only average.